Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello there. Welcome to another edition of Money Radio, and we are on energy segment of the program. My name is Winifred Webo, and I'm your host in today's edition. With me in the studio is an in-house analyst, Inse Anthony Ugo. Inse, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you.
We are going to be looking at making Nigeria's energy transition plan realistic. Making Nigeria's energy transition plan realistic. This is discussion topic for discussion on today's energy segment of Money Radio. It's reaching you on Leadership Television. How realistic is it? We are talking on making Nigeria's energy transition plan realistic. Nigeria requires $10 billion annually to implement the Energy Transition Plan (ETP) by 2060. This amounts to a massive $410 billion. An additional $1.9 trillion is required to attain the country's net zero targets by SIM. Stakeholders are concerned about how the plan will be implemented to achieve the desired results. So, the money actually earmarked for this, how realistic it is? Is it starting from there?
Yeah, let's even look at the entire energy transition plan.
Yes, I think
The globally now, the drive for energy transition it's upbeat, and the COP27 is rounding up tomorrow, and there has been so much clamor for countries to move away from fossil fuel to the use of cleaner sources of energy as a result of its negative impact on the environment, and then on lives and resources and all that. So we saw in COP26, Nigeria's president signed along with other countries
yes.
for when they to achieve net zero, and 2060 was a date
Yes, deadline.
signed that Nigeria signed. Now a huge so much needs to be done within this time. We can look at it that we are in 2022, and you say 2060. It's a long time.
In a long time.
However,
That's about 38
about
years.
38 years. However, if within this period, especially when you look at the quantum of funds that is required, $10 billion on an annual basis, and then
It's
cumulative
quite huge.
is huge, and then that puts it at like 410 billion, and then besides that, another $1.9 trillion is also required. So those are huge resources, especially where we see that a lot of the big short oil companies, global oil companies that are operating in Nigeria, they've been cutting down on their investments where it concerns fossil fuel. So if you want to look at all of this in its entirety, you would see that it's is a lofty plan that Nigeria has got there.
Okay, now that is a good one. Talking about, the PIA, that is a Petroleum Industry Act, will be coming into effect maybe February next year after its suspension. So will we be able to harness some gains from that in order to meet up with this energy transition plan?
As we speak, the PIA is already in.
Yes, there's some parts were suspended.
Yes, I think the part that was suspended basically had to do with the removal of fuel subsidy. But outside of that, every other aspect of the PIA is going on in implementation. and the regulatory bodies have been putting in place guidelines, policy guidelines to ensure the effective implementation of the PIA. So all these are, but however, while the PIA deals with the entire
Framework.
the entire sector on policies, on regulations, on guidelines to ensure that the sector operates in a transparent manner
Mm.
that meets with international best practice. The issue of funding still remains, and it's a very fundamental issue for Nigeria because the bulk of the funding for our sector, the oil and gas sector primarily, has come from outside. And now that the foreign companies, the big shot, the international oil companies are sort of divesting their interest in fossil related operations to move away. Many of them, you see them, those of them who had petroleum in their names, you see them changing it and adopting the term energy to make room for a wider scope of operations that cuts back more on from fossil fuel into renewable. So with this, it's a huge it's a huge challenge there for Nigeria, especially vis-a-vis looking at um, the Nigerians, the level of energy deficiency in the country.
Yeah.
If we want to look, if we look at the energy transition plan, government has hinged it on 5 critical sectors: power, cooking, oil and gas, transport and industry. And if you look at all those key sectors, you find out that there are very serious needs. Let's take power for instance.
Mm.
Between 80 to 90 million people don't have access to electricity. That's a huge need. Cooking gas, apart from the though many people have caught on, they've been moved from using firewood and charcoal for cooking, and they've been made to embrace gas, which is a cleaner form of energy. However, the global gas shortage has affected Nigeria, and you see that it's as if much of what was gained before now, much of the gains have been lost because you see many people out because gas is now very expensive to for many of the masses to afford. They've had to look for alternatives, and this is drawing the country back from the gains it has achieved in getting people to embrace cooking. So how are you going to do? And the federal government has also hinged this transition plan largely on gas for the generation of power, gas for cooking, gas for transport, gas for industry, as the source of fuel to power industry. So all of this, and before now, all of these investments have not been there. So where is it going to come from? And the unique thing about gas is that all of those investments, they have to align. You cannot before you start gas exploration, there must be the facility for it to be transported. There must be the infrastructure for it to be processed. All of those things must be on ground. You cannot say you want to start one and then, okay, when I've finished getting out the gas, I'll now start that. talking about transporting it. I will now start talking about processing it. One does not work independent of the other. All of those processes have to align, and all of them have to work together. So what um, is going to happen in this? Is it one of those, like one of those plans that we've always, Nigerians have very lofty plans,
Plans and
but
cannot deliver at the end of the day.
implementation
Now, before
becomes
you
an
go
issue.
far, I want to just quote him. This energy transition plan, the budget for it, is it going to be solely funded by Nigeria? We are going to, or is Nigeria looking outside for grants?
That is exactly what Nigeria's budgets can actually not fund this.
So
If
where does it intend to get this money?
it's actually looking for investors out there, and the in fact the entire essence of being at the COP27 was to canvass for investors. However, a lot needs to be put on ground to ensure that investors are able to come in. If you look at a lot of the policies, what are the policy framework? Are there adequate policy frameworks? These are what investors are targeting to ensure that once they come in, they will be able to, their monies will not be lost.
It will work
And
seamlessly.
yes, they will be able to work seamlessly. And the issue of the foreign exchange issue crisis that Nigeria has been embedded in is also a serious source of concern for many investors. We have seen in the aviation industry where some uh, the foreign airlines are cutting back on their operations in Nigeria
Yes.
because of inability to repatriate their funds as a result of scarcity of foreign exchange. So all of these continues to pose a serious risk. What are the policies on ground? What framework is there to ensure that they are able to come in seamlessly? They are able to bring in their resources. They will be able to make profit, and they will be able to recoup their
Yeah.
investment. So all of these are serious uh, sources of concern for the investor, more so at a time where several countries are actually vying for these funds at the same time. The entire world is talking about energy transition. So it's not just Nigerians that are in need of this investment. Many of especially the African, the third world countries that are seriously lacking.
Now, are their fears baseless, considering the issues you just raised? Would you say that there are policy in place to actually help in the transition plan? Should there be foreign investors? Should they be interested?
When we want to look at the investment opportunities, they are actually huge. Like I have highlighted, there's starting from processing, starting from getting the gas itself. Nigeria has a huge
Deposit.
gas reserve deposit up to 208 trillion
That is quite
standard cubic feet of gas. And then all of these require investment, first to get out, then to process to liquefied gas that can be used in homes, to compress gas that can be used by vehicles and industries and all that.
Even
So
hospitals too.
of course,
You need
yeah. So all of these, even the gas that is required by Nigeria's mostly gas power thermals. Any of
Yes.
80% of Nigeria's power thermal electricity generating plants are powered by gas. So all of these they are the needs for gas within the country. So the demand is huge and the deposit is huge. However, it is this investment that is what Nigeria requires to actually be able to actualize this energy transition plan, in that it's able to generate what it needs, use it for the betterment of the people, and then also be able to finance other aspects of moving to net zero, which is mostly renewable.
Right. Thank you so much. We are going on a break. Don't forget, we are coming back. We have so much to talk about this energy transition plan of the country. Don't go away. Stay tuned.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining in, the program is Energy Focus on Money Radio. It's brought to you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Gbebo, and we have an in-house analyst and the group business editor of Leadership newspaper, Inse Anthony Oko. I always stumble my name. Inse. Obviously, because it's a compound name, and my name is Winifred Gbebo. Thank you once again for your presence today. Yes, we were talking about making Nigeria's energy transition plan realistic. We are on the topic, and Inside just said that Nigeria will need about $10 billion annually for its energy transition plan. How realistic is it? Now, Inside, what is the demand for gas globally?
Wow. If we gas, if there's any thing that the Ukraine-Russian crisis have brought to the fore, it has brought to the fore the fact that the drive for um, net zero is actually, would I say, premature. The global, regardless of the impact of fossil fuels as is being on the climate and all that, even the Western world is not yet ready to do away completely with fossil fuel, with petrol and all its attendant products, because the gas shortage, energy shortage that has come on globally is an indication of that. Even many of the countries in the Western world have had to go back to coal for energy. And coal is even considered dirtier than petrol, which they've been trying to move. They are trying to move away from. So this has actually shown, in fact, many of in recent months, after the outbreak of this Ukraine-Russian crisis, we have seen many European countries actually coming to Nigeria to, broker partnerships that will see Nigeria supplying gas to Europe. As we talk, there are projects on ground, gas pipelines that are being constructed from Nigeria to connect to Europe for the supply of gas. So the demand for gas both internationally and
Locally.
locally, is very, very high at this point. So it is a time where Nigeria should be able to take advantage of the situation to ensure that not only does it have the required resources for its people to be able to, change the narrative in terms of energy deficit and the rest in the country, but to also be able to harness the potential, be able to supply this gas at a time that the demand is high. So the demand for it is quite high. Meanwhile, Nigeria has two key projects. The Trans-Sahara gas pipeline is there that connects, that is planned to connect
To Africa.
yes to
Yes,
through Niger
okay.
and other West African countries still to Europe.
Hmm.
And then the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline is that. These are a huge investment. The transatlantic gas pipeline requires like $12 billion. And then we have the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline project, which requires up to 25 billion dollars. And all of this, and then there's the internal gas project, the AKK project, that is supposed to that is linking Nigeria from the south down to the north. All of this transporting gas for Nigerians. So there are huge projects already on ground. However, the speed with which these projects are completed will depend on how the resources are able to be garnered. So if we're talking about the demand for gas, it is actually huge, and it's a huge opportunity for the country.
Yes, which brings me to the next question. What is Nigeria's ranking in terms of gas deposit in Africa and even globally?
Nigeria is one of amongst the highest when it comes to gas globally. In fact, Nigeria's gas deposits, it will take 88 years to actually exhaust. So it has a huge gas deposit compared to other countries. However, when it comes to Nigeria's consumption, use of gas
Yes,
internally
it's low.
is so low. The last Nigeria is as far back as 35th globally, when in terms of gas and deposit is not up to 10.
Not even 1/10 of.
Yeah, so when you look at that, you see that Nigeria has a huge lot of
Why
gas,
is that so?
yet
Is it that we don't have the manpower? That is, I'm talking about locally now, to harness this gas for use for us, for consumption.
gas actually involves a lot of investment, and the manpower that is required is also not what is locally available. All these it requires a huge expertise that and these things are not, even as Nigeria has been working up its to ensure that is local content in the oil and gas sector goes up, increases. It's not there yet. So what is going to need now will be much of it being from the international community. And now Nigeria needs to make good use of these um, partnerships that European countries are trying to foster. It's not enough for them to come seeking for Nigeria to increase supplies. The gas needs to be produced first before it can be
Supply.
supplied.
Yes.
So that is where I think the authorities need to come in and really draft out partnerships that will work, partnership that will ensure that investments are brought in, partnership that will ensure that at the end of the day, Nigeria, the plan is able to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty like it has put down on paper.
Thank you so much. And before we go, because time is running out against us, I want to find out. There is this issue of it's not. It's one thing for federal government to sign a memorandum. It has been signed that by 2060 we are having we are transiting to energy, to gas. Sorry. Now, what happened, because we've had successive governments who jettison a memorandum of understanding and do their own thing, because there are so many documents, so many global treaties that have been signed over the years that successive governments will jettison. So do you see this thing happening?
I think the incoming government will have a difficult time jettisoning this. How so? Because it's a global drive. The only thing that will make them to soft pedal on it will be if the body language globally
Okay.
indicates that
Oh.
they are also soft pedaling. They are shifting the goalpost on net zero. So, but if that doesn't happen, the pressure will continue. Especially, the phrase
Because
that
don't forget that we've
the-
had
the-
years, we've been shifting every year, every government keeps shifting the goalpost for gas emission in Niger Delta. They've given deadline and it has not worked. So do you see this thing happening because of political, let's say, body language? You understand what I'm saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. They were able to shift the goalpost successively because
Yes.
pressure was not
There.
on Nigeria or on other countries from outside.
Mm.
But right now, it's one thing for you to sign an in-house plan,
Agreement.
development plan, and then another government comes in and says, I didn't sign this, I have to do my own. But these are international agreements that have been signed. I know at the end of the day, even if they are not able to meet that 2060
Deadline.
the deadline, there will be,
Appreciable
yes,
progress.
appreciable, because each of the COP meetings year on year will revise how far have you gone, what have you done, what needs to be done, and all that. So they are being held responsible and accountable to the treaties agreement that they have signed. And if Nigeria does not follow this plan duly to ensure there is still room right now to get the needed investment, because some of the companies see that there is still time. But by the time the door is shut completely on financing of fossil fuel related operations, then Nigeria the would not even have opportunity of getting those finances. So now drawing back on this plan is not in Nigeria's best interest, because right now there's still opportunities that some will still want to put in their funds. But the later it gets, the more difficult it will become for companies to put in their funds, because the pressure will be mounting more and more. So Nigeria is not in Nigeria's best interest to shift goalpost or to renege. What they need now is to follow this plan through and ensure that. But of course, it's mainly for the incoming government to ensure that they buy in fully and drive this transition plan.
Thank you so much. Well, they just told us that our time is up. Time is up on Energy Focus on Morning Radio Leadership Television. With me in the studio has been our in-house analyst, Mr. Anthony Ugo, who's the group business editor of Leadership Newspaper. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you.
And my name is Winfred Ugo. I look forward to seeing you same time, same station next week. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.